Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Welcome back to Big Mouth, and you can keep this and any other conversation I ignite going over on my Twitter at Movies TV Mad and on my Vero at Big Mouth 1. And the extension to this channel is my Instagram, Big Mouth. So follow. Don't worry about all that now. Let's get into it. Yes, let's repeat yesterday's massive story. It isn't about release the Snyder Cut, and we'll get to that in a moment. But first, it's about Henry Cavill and his Superman role and the interview he had in this Men's Health magazine. Look, the stuff he said was earth-shattering and massive, and I'm surprised more people in this fandom ain't jumping around doing the gig. It's ridiculous. This is massive. This is what we've wanted, but still people are attacking the guy for not hashtagging release the Snyder Cut. This is actually bigger than that. He's speaking positively about the dceu. He still wants to play Superman, and the hashtag release the Snyder Cut will come. We will get the Snyder Cut, whether Henry hashtags it or not. So let's just go over what he said again really quickly. Not all of it, but what he said. Address the rumours he's no longer Superman. The cape is in the closet. It's still mine. I'm not just going to sit quietly in the dark as all this stuff is going on. I've not given up the role. There's a lot I have to give for Superman, yet a lot of storytelling to do, a lot of real true depth to the honesty of the character I want to get into. I want to reflect the comic books. That's important to me. There's a lot of justice to be done for Superman. The status is, you'll see. Do you want to see Henry Cavill Superman again? Of course we bloody well do. Anyway, right, he doesn't he's not cryptic, he's basically saying it. We also know what he said, that Man of Steel, if he had to do it all again, wouldn't change anything. Batman v Superman is predominantly a Batman movie, and the darker tone suits Batman. A lot of people have gone in on him over that. I don't see why. At the end of the day, look, I see Batman v Superman as a half Superman and a half Batman. It's both of their film, but I suppose the arc and the narrative is about the mistrust of Superman. So maybe it's more his movie, but he's got a point about the tone. It does more suit Batman than Superman. And I think part of the reasons for the hate from the mainstream and diehard Superman comic book readers for BVS is Superman is in this really darker toned movie that many people feel doesn't suit the character. Personally, I loved the movie. It was unique. It was different. It told a really compelling story, but that's Henry's opinion. He also said that Justice League simply didn't work. So he hasn't said anything wrong here. Should I translate these comments for you? I did it in a video yesterday. I didn't want to wait to do it today. Look, for any Superman fan, and I'm a massive Superman fan, these things have to be discussed immediately. There's no point me having this channel if I'm just going to do one video a day. I'll do one video a day if there's nothing particularly else I want to talk about. But when the actor who plays Superman says, the cape is still in my wardrobe, I am not giving up this role. I want to play him. I want to reflect the comic books. This man is bang on. He's literally saying what he said at that convention when he was promoting Mission Impossible Fallout, right? So this is really nothing new, but he's reiterating what he's always said. He still wants to play Superman. I think that Warner Brothers have given him permission to speak, and I think there are NDAs out there for many, many actors. I think that Dave Pinar, the Screen Junkie, said it best. Henry Cavill is very different to Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck and Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa is locked in for Aquaman 2. Gal Gadot's already filmed Wonder Woman, right? And she's got a big career in front of her, right? And Ben Affleck still works for Warner Brothers, by the way. His latest movie we saw a trailer for last week is in the can and will be released, I don't know when, very soon. So Henry Cavill wants to play Superman desperately. It seeps out of his words, doesn't it? It seeps. He's desperate to continue within the role. He's never lost the role. It doesn't look like they're looking to recast him, or he wouldn't be talking like this. So for me, this is very positive news for people who are desperate for the Man of Steel 2, and I'm desperate for a Man of Steel 2. What's happened with Superman? Why haven't we seen him since Justice League? Well, because of Justice League. Look what they did to him. So Henry was being very difficult, but not over wages like Grace Randolph inferred or tried to hint. Again, Grace stirs the pot. That's up to her, but I'm a truth teller. Whether that gains me support for this channel or not, I don't care. Henry Cavill was extremely pissed off behind the scenes with what they did to him, instead of just leaving the scenes that Zack had already filmed of him, right? So they could change a narrative and marvelise the Justice League movie and the further DCEU. So Henry Cavill was in negotiations to come back again and kind of extend his contract. But one of the remits he always said, and he said it publicly as well, so it's all there, he said he wants a direct sequel to Man of Steel. He's always wanted Man of Steel 2 to be a direct sequel to what Chris Nolan, David Goyer and Zack Snyder did. So this is why it's been difficult. But I think now, with J.J. Abrams on board, it's a lot easier to manipulate. It's going to be a direct sequel to Man of Steel. I'm very, very sure of this. With what Henry's saying, all you can do is translate it and say, Man of Steel 2 is going to happen. He's going to be involved. You know, how long ago was Man of Steel? 14, 15, 16, 17? 6 years ago. That's insane. Of course, we did see him in BVS and in Justice League around, what, exactly 2 years ago. So we have seen him as Superman, but not the Superman anyone really wants to see. So I'm excited about this interview. I'm excited that Henry's come out. For me, these words, as a Superman fan, mean so much more to me than him simply hashtagging release the Snyder Cut. It's easy to hashtag release the Snyder Cut, but to be genuine, to be genuinely passionate about doing a Man of Steel 2, a direct sequel to Man of Steel, which was Zack Snyder's movie, is he's showing support for Zack by saying, I wouldn't change Man of Steel, and I want a direct sequel to Man of Steel via Man of Steel 2. So, as I say, if you're a Superman fan, if you're excited, if you love the DCEU, if you like Henry's Superman, this is good news. Without him blatantly saying, I'm coming back and I'm doing a sequel, he's basically coming back and doing a sequel. It's all there in the interview. It's pretty obvious. So when you're out on Twitter today, when I'm looking at your posts, stop being excited. You're all acting like there's a funeral. You're acting like this interview didn't happen. This is massive, my friends. Massive and really, really exciting for anyone who loves Superman. Anyone follow Casey Walsh on Twitter? Well, I've never followed him before, or maybe I used to and I unfollowed him, but he said something that really triggered me, and I don't know if he's involved in comics or he writes comics. Anyway, he seems to think he knows everything about superheroes, so let me read out a Superman tweet he posted. Ask yourself a question. Why would WB spend $200 million on a Superman movie to maybe make $800 million when they can spend $60 to $100 million on something like the Joker? Make the same, but turn more considerable profit. DC's recent offerings prove they don't need Superman. For any Superman fan, actually for anyone with any logic, this post actually defines illogical, right? Yes. The Joker was very cheap to make. Shazam was very cheap to make. They made a lot of money. And they should absolutely keep on making these low-budgeted movies. I'm loving it. I'm loving what Walter Hamada's doing. But anyone who says that Warner Brothers don't need Superman shouldn't talk about comic books, shouldn't talk about movies, shouldn't talk about TV shows, because you're talking absolute bullshit. If they spend $200 million and get $800 million back, they're making a profit, Casey. Don't you understand? Yes, all movie companies wish they could make low-budget movies and make a profit and do nothing else. But no studio in their right mind is going to shelve Superman when they can make a profit of what my maths is shit, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Jesus Christ, who knows? I'm thick, right? But at the end of the day, it's still a hell of a lot of money. And if you get a Superman movie right, you can actually go to $1 billion, $1.5 billion. Superman's potential is there. You just need to make a great movie. And what's great about a Man of Steel sequel is it's highly anticipated. Highly anticipated. More people are going to come in for it this time. So this is absolute bullshit. Bullshit, I tell you. This is a person who thinks he knows it all. And, you know, to tell Superman fans, think about this. Why, you know, Warner Brothers doesn't need Superman. Oh, yes. Warner Brothers needs Superman. They love Superman. And they want to be making Superman movies. But you know what's more important of all, Mr. Casey Walsh? J.J. Abrams is in WB now. And he loves Superman. And he wants to be involved in a Superman movie. Hopefully with Zack Snyder, his good friend. So I'm sorry, Mr. Walsh, I don't know what your affiliation is, if you're a Marvel fan or you're another Superman's not relatable hater, I don't know. Superman's the best, Superman is awesome, and your words are hollow and mean absolutely nothing. Actually, this is even funnier. Now, this is someone Casey Walsh retweeted. We probably all know about him. This is Daniel Richmond, Daniel RPK. He's some kind of unofficial scooper who seems to claim he knows stuff. This is what he had to say. This is the funniest thing. I want Cavill back, but it's not up to him, so he can say whatever he wants to it. Doesn't really matter. It's up to WB and the next Superman director, JJ ? If he'll agree to do it. But again, I hope Cavill will come back. Why do these people seem to enjoy poo-pooing on fans' excitement? Leave us alone. We've read an epic interview where the guy who plays Superman is saying, the cape is still in my cupboard, wardrobe, right, whatever, right? And, you know, I want to do this. I want to play this character. I'm not giving up on this character. Henry Cavill is a studio man. Henry Cavill wouldn't come out and say this stuff unless the studio have said, you're back in, we're going to do this, and he's agreed some kind of a deal, and they've agreed with J.J. Abrams and Zack Snyder to do a direct sequel to Man of Steel. So at the end of the day, Daniel, there was no need really for this post. Stop trying to, you know, I suppose negativity sells in this game, but sometimes, please, you lot with a big following, leave us alone and let us be happy for at least 5 minutes. Margot Robbie has had a big long interview with Variety. I'm not going to read the whole thing out because a lot of it is about her boring film with Charlize Theron. But we want to talk about the DCEU. So Robbie is currently shooting writer-director James Gunn's Suicide Squad sequel in Atlanta, reprising her role as Harley Quinn. When I mentioned that her Suicide Squad co-star Joel Kinnaman raved about how funny he thinks the movie is going to be, when he was guest on The Big Ticket last month, Robbie says he's right. You're going to be laughing a lot. It's going to be good, is all I can say for now. It's going to be very good. But the next time fans will see Robbie is as Harley is in her standalone movie Birds of Prey. The story in Birds of Prey is told from her point of view. So that's confirmation now, so we know that now. So you have an insight into Harley's world in a way that you didn't in the first Suicide Squad film, nor that you'll have in the next Suicide Squad film. Robbie says, it's a little bonkers. It reflects her personality. It's heightened. It's poppy. It's fun. It's violent. It's crazy. It's absurd. It's kooky. It's hilarious. It's a little heartbreaking. I love the heartbreaking part. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Do these birds of prey actually die and she's left on her own again? I think so. Could be controversial to do that. But again, it it fleshes out Harley's character and how she reacts to these things. So I like what she had to say there. A lot of people, DCEU fans, Snyder stands, people like that, are kind of annoyed with people saying the Suicide Squad's going to be funny. James Gunn's films are funny, partly, but they're also very emotional and very dramatic. It's about balance, everyone, so I have no absolute problems with a DCEU movie having a little comedy in it. Yes, so let's break from the norm. We're going to touch on the Snyder Cut very, very soon. But what I want to talk about very quickly is a lot of these pictures we've seen from Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is the CW Arrowverse crossover that everyone's really looking forward to. People who even hate the CW and Arrowverse are probably going to be watching this. Even as a DC fan, you've got to be excited, and we've got to talk about it. Can't really be bothered to do a separate video. Probably won't get many views anyway, so let's do it on here. So, about a year or so ago, Tom Welling, who played Clark Kent on Smallville, they asked him if he'd ever been offered to come onto the Arrowverse, and they said yes, they wanted him to play Superman on Supergirl, and he turned it down. The truth of the matter is the guy has never wanted to put on the costume, and he still doesn't. But in an interview, he did say he had a way how Clark Kent from Smallville could quickly cameo on Arrowverse. And this is what he said. He said, I'd be working on the farm, right? And the Flash would be running so fast, he'd get onto my Earth, whatever number that is, right? And he'd quickly run by me, maybe say hello, and that would be it. So guess what? The picture we saw yesterday was Clark on the farm with a shovel or fork or whatever, and he's looking up in surprise. It looks like his role on Crisis is very small. But what I'm hearing is Erica Durance's Lois Lane, who played Lois Lane in Smallville, will be in actually quite a few of the Crisis episodes. Again, very interesting. So Tom really didn't want to be in this much. What's interesting to me is that Tom got to choose what he did, because that's what it's looking like now. But when Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor on Smallville, rang up and asked to do it, no idea what he was making, no idea when the schedule was, no idea what he would be doing, and you know you have to say yes now. So I can answer this confusion for you. Is Greg Berlanti and Tom Welling are very good friends? So basically, Berlanti was just desperate to get Welling's version of Clark on the show, and anything would do. So I'm thinking Tom Welling won't be on this a lot. He won't suit up. He was never going to suit up anyway. So, look, I'm obsessed with Superman. Obviously, I'm obsessed with Superman, but I'm obsessed with Tom Welling as Clark Kent. He's one of my favourite versions of the character, along with Cavill, along with Chris Reeve. Don't want to talk about Dean Cain. I never liked that version of Superman. Anyway, it doesn't look like he's going to be on Crisis. Surprise, surprise, seeing he's a Trump supporter. And we all know this, how left-leaning the CW are. So anyway, don't like him anyway. And he blocked me on Twitter, another one. You must be thinking, you're a scuzzball, Mick, to be blocked by so many people. I don't call myself Big Mouth for nothing. So anyway, that's Crisis. We'll see how that turns out. And I will attempt to review maybe the whole thing. Not every episode. When it's all done, maybe we'll do it together. Very, very, very exciting. So what we got here? I think now it's time to talk about Release the Snyder Cut. And so this is Ray Porter, who was meant to play Darkseid in Justice League on Twitter. I wish I could answer everybody's questions singly, but I simply can't. Some is NDA related and some is because I just don't know. I'm as surprised as all of you. Over the last few days, the only certainty I have is that you all rock. Yeah, Ray Porter is a class act. Who knew who Ray Porter was about a year ago? This is brilliant. Through Vero, through Zack Snyder, we know many, many actors from the Snyder Cut didn't get paid. Now, later on, actually, I want to read a couple of Snyder Cut articles, actually. So, where are we? The New York Times. Yeah, the New York Times. This is the first one. We're back on the New York Times again. The New York Times is massive. Yes, the Snyder Cut is a major talking point amongst media now, and it's not going away. But what's going on here? They won't let me. I'm not logging in. I am not logging in. Go away. Are they going to let me read this? I'm really sorry about this. They actually wanted me to subscribe, so I had to subscribe via my Google account. Anyway, you don't care about that. Why Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot are tweeting Release the Snyder Cut. The superhero film Justice League was a critical flop, but the stars want the original director's vision restored. The most talked about movie on social media this week is one that may never come out. It will. 2 years after release of Justice League, a critically derided superhero team-up starring, among others, Ben Affleck as Batman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, those stars took to social media to advocate for a different cut of the film, one made by its deposed director, Zack Snyder. Release the Snyder Cut hashtag Gadot tweeted on Sunday afternoon, echoed in short order by Affleck. Snyder, who was replaced by director Joss Whedon when Warner Bros. Ordered reshoots for Justice League, quote tweeted both stars approvingly. The ancient Amazonian can't be wrong. No, she can't, Zach. It's the latest step in a superhero saga with no happy ending in sight. We'll get our happy ending, don't worry about that. An outcome few could have foreseen several years ago when Warner Bros., eager for a cinematic comic book universe that could rival Marvel's, handed some of its most prized DC Comics characters to Snyder. The director of comic book adaptations like 300 and Watchmen, Snyder kicked things off with the 2013 Man of Steel, which cast Henry Cavill as Superman. That film grossed $668 million worldwide, but instead of following it with a traditional Superman sequel, Snyder next directed Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice 2016, which added Affleck and Gadot to the mix and featured cameos from Ezra Miller as the Flash and Ray Fisher as Cyborg, that were meant to tease their inclusion in Justice League. Though Batman v Superman made $873 million worldwide, reviews were scathing, and Warner Bros. Executives worried that Snyder's increasingly dark take on these classic comic book characters skewed to adult, alienating audiences that preferred Marvel's more family-friendly sense of humour. Still, there was little time to course correct. Snyder was set to begin production on Justice League, originally conceived as a two-part film, just weeks after Batman v Superman had been released. On the London set of Justice League, Snyder assured reporters that he had taken the reviews of Batman v Superman to heart, but after he completed principal production, Warner Bros. Announced in May 2017 that Snyder would be stepping down from the project. Snyder said at the time that he was leaving Justice League to attend to his family after his daughter's suicide. After screening Snyder's rough cut of Justice League for a small group of filmmakers, including the Straight Outta Compton screenwriter Andrew Burloff, the Wonder Woman scribe Alan Heinberg, and the Avengers director Joss Whedon, Warner Bros. Hired Whedon to helm a substantial round of reshoots that included almost 80 new script pages. Wow. This version gave Gadot and Man of Steel holdovers Amy Adams and Diane Lane far more to do, significantly trimmed subplots involving the Flash and Cyborg. One character, a love interest for Miller played by Kiersey Clemons, was cut entirely and added more jokes. The studio had hoped that Whedon could bring to Justice League the same light touch that he lifted the Avengers to $1.5 billion at the box office, but Whedon was ultimately faulted by significant production issues, including lead actor Cavill, who was busy shooting Mission Impossible Fallout, and whose facial hair from the film had to be erased in post-production. In the end, it was all for naught. The Whedon cut of Justice League was released in November 2017 to poor reviews and box office total that came in well below both Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. In the years since, Snyder has used the social network Vero to tease images from his vision of the film, and fans have pleaded with Warner Bros. To release the Snyder Cut. But will the studio listen? Allowing Snyder to go back and finish the film would probably require an 8-figure investment given the extensive special effects that remained incomplete in his version. The film is done. He may have to tidy up a bit, but the film is done. Why won't you admit this? The man said it himself. And while Warner Bros. Has found significant success making standalone films based on Gadot's Wonder Woman and Jason Momoa's Aquaman, the studio no longer seems to prioritise getting them back together with their old teammates. Cavill has no Superman appearances left on his docket, and Warner Bros. Recently recast Batman with Robert Pattinson. It's not really a recast, though, is it, if he's set in another universe, or is it? We don't know what they're up to with this Flashpoint Wonder Woman 84 thing either, do we? For a brand new take on the material due in 2021, Affleck and Gadot may have lent their weight to release the Snyder Cut, but corporate indifference is a foe against which few superheroes can cope to prevail. Well, a little bit negative, but at the end of the day, they're talking about us. And what RT Snyder Cut advised us to do is go in the comments and thank them for telling our story, which I think, look, it's no point being negative. If they really believe, right, that it still has to be completed, special effects haven't been done. Look, what Momoa said a week or so ago, I'm fine with it. It's finished. It's done. I don't even want to talk about this debate, whether it's finished or not, how much it would cost. It's boring. The film's completed. It isn't going to cost $40 million to complete. So please, let's stop. So at least the New York Times, one of the biggest broadsheets in America, is talking about us, our movement, and Zack Snyder's version of Justice League. You shouldn't be surprised when Zack Snyder posts some BTS from his cut of Justice League, but we didn't think we'd be getting something again so soon. But yesterday we got this on Vero. That time in January 2017 when Diana came face to face with Euxus for the first time. So it's only on my phone. It's on my Instagram, Big Mouth, right? Pretty awesome, right? And if you want to see more of this, Big Mouth 11289 is the extension of this channel. It keeps us talking without me having to take hours uploading more videos on here. Look, the man is relentless. Remember when people used to say, leave him alone, he's lost his daughter, he's not interested, hasn't he been through enough? This is evidence, everything is evidence that this man is so determined and relentless and ruthless about getting the Snyder Cut released and getting back at the seat of the table running the DCEU. This is what he wants. This is what Deb wants. This is what we want. And it's all mixed in with our hopes and dreams of getting Cavill back as Superman and a Man of Steel sequel as well. I think potentially good things are coming. I think Henry's interview, very, very exciting. I think that Zack, now someone actually said, is Zack posting because Warner Brothers have still no interest in releasing the Snyder Cut? Well, interesting logic, my friend, but what I would say is that maybe he has been talking with WB and they like the trending numbers and they told him, listen, until we finalise the agreement, keep on teasing and let's whip up the campaign. Because as I said before, we're mainstream now. Hundreds of thousands and millions of people are seeing the release the Snyder Cut hashtag. They're interested. They're looking into it. You don't understand how massive this is now. The trends are massive. And what the trends actually mean is not just about getting the cut released. It's how much money this cut's going to make. Because forget the 40 million budget to get it finished. This film could potentially go into theatres as basically a new movie. Obviously similar beats here and there. But we're talking about a 3-hour movie. And this film, I believe this. Again, like when I predicted with Joker, you all laughed at me. You said it made no more than 500 million. I was right about $1 billion. Potentially, this film could make $50 to $100 million at the box office because people are intrigued. Everyone's intrigued about this movie now. If you think this isn't happening, you are simply not paying attention. The Snyder Cut will be released. Now, we may have to wait till the new year for an announcement, but it's going to happen now. It's too mainstream. Too many people are talking about it. Actors, directors, producers, everyone is talking about it. Everyone's hashtagging this now. It's daily. It's a daily trend now. You don't have to whip up a campaign anymore. And thank you, RT Snyder Cut. Whoever you are, you have done a grand job in organising us. But I want to know what you think about everything I've spoken about today. What do you think about Margot Robbie's interview on Variety? Are you excited for the Suicide Squad? Are you triggered because it's going to be a little bit funny? I'm certainly not. Are you excited about Birds of Prey and the emancipation of one Harley Quinn? That it's all through her eyes and it's her mind and we get to know Harley a little bit more. And the fact that she says it's actually really heartbreaking. Pumped for that movie. Don't care that Ewan McGregor said it's a little bit about toxic masculinity. At the end of the day, it's a DCEU movie and I can't wait to see it. What do you think of Henry Cavill's comments about not bowing out from the Superman role, determined to reflect the comics, and he has got lots of plans to play Superman? Is this just him spouting off, or have Warner Brothers told him to do this? I believe that Warner Brothers and his agent, Danny Garcia, are in cahoots with this. Everything is happening. Good things are happening. And just because you don't hear something straight after this video, or when rumours are leaked on Twitter, don't think these things are not happening, right? We are going to get what we want. We are going to get the team back together. I don't know about Affleck's Batman, because this is another great question, isn't it? Before I go, we heard that, in fact, Ben Affleck's Batman is killed off in the Snyder Cut. Now, has this been filmed, or was this part of the original script Sugihara didn't like, and when they forced him and Chris Terrio to go back and do more? I'm very, very interested in that. So do you have any information on that? Comment down below. Was Batman's death filmed? Because think about this, right? Because if Batfleck is killed off in Justice League and, you know, Clark and Lois do name their child after him, of course, them having a child, if it happens, is so much more potential for Man of Steel 2 because there's lots of things that could mean. We know the things that were set up in Man of Steel. So that's interesting. What kind of being would Superman's kid be? Very, very exciting. But do we know that they shot Ben Affleck's Batman being killed off in the Snyder Cut of Justice League? If so, he wouldn't be coming back for more movies anyway. It will be the end of him anyway, and maybe that's the way Ben and Zach and Chris Terrio wanted it. So there's lots of question marks. So I think even if we get the Snyder Cut, Ben's going to be killed off anyway, which will, if they have filmed that, that is awesome. So if you know more about that, please, please, please let me know. But as I say, exciting. Look, Zack Snyder fans, DCEU fans, fans of BVS and MOS, good things are coming. Just be patient. Keep it here on Big Mouth because it's the first place, the only place you're going to see someone snap the theatrical Blu-ray of Justice League in your faces on their channel. But just imagine it. I'm thinking about this actually. The day I can do it, I'm going to be so pumped. I'm going to be going like this and I can't do it. I could actually look like a wimp. But we shall see what happens. And I'll be back tomorrow for more DCEU Daily. See you later.